Hey movie fans, ever walk out of a film and immediately want to talk about it for hours? That's me all the time, and that's why I created The Explainer. I'm V, and this channel is all about unpacking the movies we love, exploring the theories, and finally understanding those head-scratching moments. To kick things off, we're tackling Death's Game. We're going to break down how our protagonist dies countless times and gets reborn, and see what makes this movie so compelling. Let's jump in. Story begins with Choi, a young man who was on his way to the job interview at a big company. During his journey, he received a call from his girlfriend, wishing him good luck. But suddenly, tragedy struck right before his eyes. A man crossing the street was hit by a car and fell directly under Choi's feet. Choi desperately tried to save him, but the poor man took his last breath in Choi's arms. This incident left Choi deeply shaken. He was so traumatized that he couldn't even answer job. For the next 2 years, Choi struggled to find stable work. He took on various odd jobs, sometimes as a laborer, sometimes as a waiter, and even as a taxi driver, to make ends meet. Meanwhile, his friends had settled into good careers and started families. Despite all his efforts, Choi couldn't land a decent job. Life continued to be a relentless struggle, and he felt no change was coming his way. Then, one day, he was unexpectedly invited for an interview again at the same company he had applied 2 years ago. When the manager saw how Choi had been persistently working hard through various small jobs over the years, he was impressed. This reignited a spark of hope in Choi. But soon after, devastating news hit him. The company where he had invested his savings had gone bankrupt, and all his money was lost. Consumed by anger, Choi stormed to the investor's house and tried to break down the door. The neighbors called the police, and Choi's life seemed to spiral further into despair. Feeling hopeless, Choi went to his ex-girlfriend, Janie's house, only to see her stepping out of another man's expensive car. When Janie saw Choi, she offered him some money to help, but Choi refused, asking her to forget about him. He didn't want her to spend her life with a failure. Broken-hearted, Choi returned home to find all his belongings outside the door. The landlord had evicted him for overdue rent. The next morning, Choi received a message from the company informing him that he hadn't been selected for the job once again. This news drove Choi to the brink of insanity. He went to the bridge where the man had died in his arms years ago, convinced that his life had been cursed ever since that day. At this point, Choi felt no fear of death. He took a step forward and plunged into the darkness. When Choi regained consciousness, he found himself in an airplane cabin. To his shock, he realized he was in someone else's body. A girl approached him and read out a letter, revealing that Choi had died. However, she believed that a person's essence doesn't end with death. She told him she would take him to a place where he could truly feel the pain of his existence. They arrived at a high cliff, where screams of agony echoed from below. The girl revealed herself as the goddess of death and declared that Choi would be punished by reliving 12 different lives, dying in each one unless he managed to survive in one of them. Before Choi could react, the plane began to shake violently. Scared, Choi put on a life jacket, but the flight attendants reassured him it was just turbulence. As the plane stabilized, Choi was amazed by the luxurious surroundings. Suddenly, a glowing object appeared before him, filled with the memories and identity of the person whose body he now inhabited. It dawned on him that he was now in the body of the second son of the owner of the company he had aspired to work for. For a moment, he thought his life of wealth and comfort had finally begun. But just as he decided to embrace this new life, the plane's engine exploded. Choi fastened his seatbelt, but the aircraft was engulfed in flames, and he perished in the fire. When he opened his eyes again, he was back in his original form, staring at the void, haunted by the endless cycle of failure and death. The narrative of Choi's life is a poignant exploration of despair, resilience, and the inescapable weight of fate. It's a story of a man who, despite his relentless efforts, finds himself trapped in a never-ending cycle of loss and tragedy. His journey serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the challenges of finding meaning in the face of overwhelming adversity. Choi sat in front of the dazzling door that led straight to hell. The goddess of death, Hell, was seated at a table, loading bullets into a gun. With this weapon, she would kill him repeatedly and sell him into different bodies. But Choi couldn't understand the purpose of this cruel game. He asked, "If I'm destined to die horribly every time, how can I survive?" Hell replied coldly, "That's your problem, not mine." She then took Choi to the edge of a cliff in Hell, where flames roared on all sides and screams of agony echoed around them. Hell explained, "Your sin was that you sought death before it could come to you. Now you must face the consequences." Without hesitation, she shot him. Suddenly, Choi found himself falling from the sky. A blinding light pierced his mind, revealing that he was now in the body of a man who performed dangerous stunts for a living. This man was about to perform a parachute-less skydive, witnessed by people worldwide. If he survived, his sponsors would reward him with a fortune. Choi, armed with the man's memories, thought he might pull it off. But instead of landing on the net, he fell far away and died on the spot. When he opened his eyes, he was back at the door to hell, consumed with rage. "I never had a fair chance to save myself," he shouted. "My real life was nothing but misery. Born into poverty, never getting a decent job, losing my fiancé. What did I ever do to deserve this?" But hell remained unmoved. She shot him again. This time, Choi found himself in the body of a schoolboy. He realized this boy's father had died, and he lived with his mother, who constantly nagged him. The boy hated going to school because a group of bullies tormented him daily. One day, after being beaten, the boy became so hopeless that he committed a grave mistake. Choi entered his body just before his death. He thought, "If I survive this time, I won't have to go back to hell. I can start a new life." But soon, a boy named Jesse began bullying him again. Enraged, Choi picked up a knife to teach Jesse a lesson. Jesse's friends attacked him, and no one came to his aid. Later, Choi realized he needed the support of a stronger boy to survive. When he returned home, he saw his mother crying over their poverty. Overcome with frustration, Choi poured noodles over her head in front of everyone. Jesse urged his friend to attack Choi, but the boy refused. Choi had already decided to handle things himself. Jesse then approached Tom, the leader of the street gang, for help. Tom arrived with his gang to teach Choi a lesson, but was shocked to see how small Choi was. "You couldn't handle this kid alone?" Tom asked Jesse, leaving him embarrassed. When Tom tried to attack Choi, Jesse himself stepped forward to defend him. The matter was resolved, and Choi began exercising daily to grow stronger. However, Jesse's friends pushed him too far, taunting him for losing to a noodle boy. One evening, Jesse attacked Choi with a rock, killing him. Once again, Choi's eyes opened at hell's door and hell shot him. This time, he found himself tied to a chair with a cloth over his head. A group of thugs surrounded him, interrogating him about money and a girl's whereabouts. They began assaulting him with hammers. As the blinding light flashed in his mind, Choi realized he was now in the body of a serial killer who had fallen for his boss's girlfriend. The girl begged Choi for help, so he stole $10 million from his boss and hid her in a safe place. But the boss soon caught him. Choi fought back, freeing himself and disarming all the thugs. Determined to start a new life, he decided to recover the stolen money. When he opened the door, he found himself in a moving truck. He grabbed a motorcycle and sped away, pursued by the gang. They cornered him on a bridge, but Choi cleverly escaped. However, a few gang members caught up with him, forcing him to climb a building to evade them. At the top, Choi decided to jump into a swimming pool to survive. But the boss's girlfriend arrived, hugged him, and when he revealed that the money was on a smuggler's boat, she shot him. Once again, Choi was back at hell's door. Hell laughed at him, but Choi wasn't entirely foolish. He had lied about the money's location and planned to find it in his next life. This time, he found himself in the body of a prisoner in jail, where his cell. Choi entered the room. He found Jose, the very boy who had harassed him in school. To escape his own fate, Choi decided to take the blame for a crime committed by a wealthy kid instead. He was 2 years younger than Jose, which resulted in a reduced sentence for him. Later, when the real criminal's lawyer approached him, Choi boldly decided to reveal the truth to the world. He felt compelled to keep his story alive. Inside the jail, Choi told Jose that he would reveal his true nature to everyone because Choi understood that Jose wasn't just a foolish boy, he was a killer. One day, while working in a workshop, an accident occurred that led to Choi getting injured. During this time, some thugs surrounded him, launching a deadly attack. However, Choi, being an MMA fighter, fought back fiercely, punishing each thug severely. Later that night, he confronted Jose, staging a scenario to show Jose the weight of his actions. He told Jose that he would never stop pursuing him, causing Jose to panic. As Choi's release day approached, his meeting with the real criminal's lawyer revealed that he needed to create his own destiny. He reached a beach and began searching for the $10 million he had once desired. After a long search, he returned home, beginning to plan his future. That night, Choi dreamed of his mother and woke up in tears. He received a call from the mother of an MMA fighter, and he promised to meet her. This spurred him to save some cash, planning to help his family. But then, fate hit him hard again. Choi found himself with a knife in his stomach, attacked by a man who was the father of a girl he had harmed in the past. The father, in a panic, fled after hearing that the real criminal was someone else entirely. Suddenly, a friend of the fighter arrived in prison, revealing that he had come to kill Choi. Overcome with rage, he stabbed Choi in the abdomen. Just then, Choi's phone rang. It was the fighter's mother calling. and he was once again crushed by memories of loss. As things unfolded, Choi tried to escape and reconnect with Janie, a girl who brought brightness to his life. From casual encounters evolved cherished moments and ever-deepening feelings. As he pledged to her that he would always care for her, Choi realized it was time to take responsibility for his past mistakes, so he opened up to Janie, confessing his true identity and the painful experiences he had been through. But fate had other plans. A tragic hit and run left him in shock, discovering that the driver behind the wheel was linked to his past troubles. In his heart, Choi knew he had to face this new enemy. Ultimately, he confronted his fate with the courage of a fighter, willing to battle as the story reached its climax.